The package appeared on the doorstep of my apartment yesterday, with a return address I recognized immediately. My childhood home, where only my mother lives now. Inside, wrapped in yellowed newspaper, was the cheap digital camera Sarah and I had lost in the woods 17 years ago. The same scuff on the silver casing from when Sarah had dropped it. The same crack along the LCD screen from when I'd dropped it that one time running home after my mom called for dinner. My hands were shaking as I pulled out the memory card. Part of me wanted to throw the whole thing away, pretend it never arrived. But I had to know. After all these years, I had to see what was on there. Sarah M. was my best friend when I was a kid. We lived 3 houses apart and spent every summer making terrible short films together with this exact camera. Zombie movies, spy thrillers, comedy sketches. We thought we were the next Spielberg and Lucas. Sarah always forgot her lines, and I always insisted on doing my own stunts, which usually meant jumping off something and hurting myself. Sarah had the shakiest hands of any kid I knew, so she'd gotten into the habit of setting the camera down on steady surfaces whenever possible to get a good shot. Her mother used to watch us from her rocking chair by the living room window. Never said much. Just sat there staring out at nothing with those hollow eyes. The few times she did speak, it was always the same warning.
The older you get, the more evils reveal themselves, especially in those woods.
We'd roll our eyes and keep filming. I should have listened. I slid the memory card into the slot and felt the satisfying click of it connecting. The memory card contained a single folder that held all of our video files listed in chronological order. We never renamed them, probably because we didn't know how. So it just looked like a list of jumbled numbers and letters in a sequential order, akin to some kind of alien fast food menu. I started from the beginning. MIV_3858.mov to MIV_3887.mov. I spent the next hour or so watching our short films, to generously call them. The first few videos on the memory card are exactly what I expected. Sarah and me, at 10 and 11, gap-toothed and sunburned, acting out elaborate scenes that made perfect sense to us at the time, but probably looked insane to anyone else. There's one where we were pretending to be secret agents, whispering dramatically while hiding behind my mom's garden shed. I could faintly remember the plot. We were recovering an extremely expensive gem from the hands of a ruthless villain named Blue Eyes. Sarah keeps breaking character to laugh at my serious spy voice. God, she had the most infectious laugh. There's another where we're filming a zombie apocalypse movie in my backyard. Sarah's supposed to be dead, lying motionless on the grass, but she keeps peeking one eye open to see if I'm still filming. When I catch her, she sits up and starts giggling. I can hear my younger self sighing dramatically behind the camera. The timestamp shows these were from early June, a couple of weeks before everything went wrong. I almost stopped watching there. These memories are too precious, too painful. But then I see the next video file, dated 2 days later, and my stomach drops. It's the day we found the house. MIV 3888.mov. The camera shakes as Sarah follows 11-year-old me deeper into the woods than we'd ever gone before. We'd been filming some ridiculous adventure movie, pretending to be explorers discovering an undiscovered landscape. I remember thinking the canopy of trees looked like a scene straight from Indiana Jones. Seeing it now, I laughed at how delusional I could be. As we delved deeper, I could feel a shift in the air, even through the camera. 17 years later. The trees seemed denser, the shadows longer.
Kasey, maybe we should go back.
Sarah's voice says from behind the camera. She sounds uncertain, younger than her 11 years. Just a little further, my younger self responds. I can hear the excitement in my voice, the same thrill-seeking stupidity that would always get us into trouble. This is perfect for the movie. It's like a jungle, if you squint your eyes just right. That's when we see it. The house appears suddenly in a small clearing, like a mirage in the desert. 2 stories, white wood siding so weathered it's almost black. The windows are boarded up, except for one on the 2nd floor that stares out at us like a dead eye. Ivy crawls up the walls like grasping fingers, desperately reaching for the roof. Holy shit! I hear myself whisper.
Language.
Sarah hisses, but I can tell she's as mesmerized as I am. The camera moves closer, my younger self apparently too fascinated to be afraid. The front porch sags under the weight of rotting beams. The front door hangs slightly open, revealing the entryway and a darkened staircase beyond.
We should go.
Sarah says again, as she follows me with the camera. Are you kidding? This is perfect! Change of plans. We could film the best horror movie ever here! My voice is breathless with excitement. I want to reach through the screen and shake that stupid kid, to tell him to listen to his friend, to turn around and run. But he doesn't. We don't. Sarah gets closer to the house, the camera fixated on that half-open door. For just a moment, I swear I can see movement inside. A shadow that passes in front of the doorway and stops, making it almost pitch black inside. We step toward the entrance and I can hear my younger self ushering Sarah towards the door. Come on, let's just peek inside. It doesn't look like anyone's lived here in years. The camera begins to shake again. Sarah's breath grows heavier behind the camera. She lifts the lens towards the sun, as if to say, nothing bad happens during the daytime. The front door groans as we push it open wider. Sarah steps inside first, the camera capturing the dusty air swirling in the afternoon sunlight that streams through the doorway. I remember it smelling like old wood and decay. Not the worst smell in the world, but enough to stick in your nose for a couple of hours.
It's so quiet.
Sarah whispers. Her voice echoes slightly off the barewood flooring. The camera pans across the front room to the left. Furniture sits covered in white sheets, and I can see my younger self reach out to pull one away from what looks like a chair. Dust explodes in the air, making both of us cough. Look at this place, I hear myself say in awe. It looks just like a movie set. Sarah moves across the front hall toward the kitchen. The wooden barricades outside of the windows made the kitchen exceedingly darker than the rest of the house, and the old camera didn't adjust well to the lighting. The footage became extremely grainy, even more than it already had been for a 2006 Handycam. Suddenly, she lets out a stifled shriek as the view of the camera goes tumbling to the floor, leaving me to stare at the bottom of a disgusting fridge. My heart sinks as I lean toward my computer screen. I didn't remember it happening like this. This was too soon. From across the decrepit house, I can hear my younger voice come through the microphone.
Sarah? Sarah! Are you okay?
A second passes before a shuffling behind the camera begins, and Sarah's voice rings out.
Yes, I'm sorry. There's just this creepy painting of a man in the kitchen. I thought someone was staring at me.
She picks up the camera and moves back toward the main hall. That's when we hear it. A soft thud from somewhere upstairs. The camera freezes.
Did you hear that?
Sarah says softly.
Probably just the house settling.
My younger self says, but I can hear the uncertainty creeping in.
Old houses do that.
The camera tilts up toward the ceiling, as if trying to see through it to the floor above. For a moment, everything is perfectly still. Then, another sound. A long, slow creak, as if someone taking a careful step across old floorboards.
Okay, maybe we should go.
Sarah says, backing toward the door. The creaking gets louder, more deliberate. It sounds like it's moving directly above us now, following our path through the house. Sarah's breathing becomes more audible behind the camera.
That's definitely not the house settling.
She whispers. We both stand perfectly still, listening. The footsteps stop right above where we're standing. Then, suddenly, a loud crash from upstairs, like the sound of thunder, reverberates through the house.
Run!
My younger self shouts. Sarah spins towards the door, the camera bouncing wildly as we both sprint for the exit. I can hear our panicked breathing, our feet pounding across the old floorboards as we race outside. We don't stop running until we're well into the tree line. Finally, Sarah turns the camera back toward the house, both of us gasping for breath.
Did you see what fell?
I hear myself ask between heavy breaths.
No, I was too busy getting out of there.
Sarah laughs nervously. She pauses for a moment before letting out a snort.
But look,
The camera zooms in on the only second-floor window that isn't boarded up. There, barely visible through the glass, is an orange tabby cat sitting calmly on the windowsill, cleaning its paw.
A cat.
My younger self exclaims, relief flooding his voice.
It's just a stupid cat. It probably knocked something over.
We both start laughing, that giddy, relieved kind of laughter that comes after a near-death experience. Sarah keeps the camera trained on the window as we continue to joke about being afraid of a house cat.
run? Really, Kasey? Who would have guessed that between me, you, and a house cat, you're still the biggest pussy?
I could almost hear Sarah catch herself saying a bad word as the camera jolted a bit.
Language.
Me and my younger self replied in unison sarcastically. It would have almost been cute if it wasn't for what I saw next. 17 years later, I saw something both of us had missed completely. Through the window, just above the cat, were two piercing blue eyes staring at us, unblinking. The cat arches its back and hisses at the figure behind it before being snatched violently into the darkness. The eyes remain motionless for another few seconds before slowly disappearing back into the shadows of the room. Neither Sarah nor I noticed any of this at the time. We were too busy laughing at ourselves for being so scared. We had no idea of what we should have truly been afraid of. The video ended with both of us walking back to my house, discussing our plans to sneak out one night to film our horror movie in the woods. I can faintly remember wanting any excuse to use the night vision feature on our camera. I had to take a break before watching the final video. My apartment is starting to feel too small, too quiet. The timestamp on the next file is from 1 week later, the night of July 15th, the night Sarah disappeared. I hesitated to press play, but I had to know. It was my chance to finally find out what happened in that house. MIV 3889.mov. The footage starts with darkness, the camera's night vision giving everything a sickly green tint. I can hear our whispered voices as we creep through the woods, trying not to make too much noise.
This is so stupid.
Sarah's voice came from behind the camera, more nervous than I remembered. "It's going to be amazing," my younger self responds. "Trust me, using the night vision as the monster's point of view will make it look way more professional, just like the Predator." I couldn't help but chuckle at my naive past self. We reach the house. It looks even more menacing at night, if that's possible. The shadows seem deeper, more alive. The boarded windows reflect our camera's light back towards us, making it look like the house was adorned with multiple black eyes, similar to a spider. "Okay," I hear myself say, trying to sound confident. "So you take the camera inside and we'll use our walkie-talkies to communicate. I'll do the scene where I'm running from the monster, and you can film me through the window. It'll look like the monster's perspective."
I don't want to go in there, Kasey.
"Come on, don't be a baby. It's just an old house." I hate myself for those words. I hate that 11-year-old boy and his cruel dismissal of his best friend's fear. The camera shakes as Sarah reluctantly approaches the front door. I can hear her breathing, quick and shallow. The door creaks as it opens wider, and then she's inside. The night vision reveals a nightmare of decay. Wallpaper peels in long strips, furniture still sitting covered in white sheets like ghosts. I almost didn't catch it at first, but the chair I had pulled the covering off of the week prior was covered again. Sarah didn't notice. A staircase leads up into the darkness, so complete it seems solid black. Sarah moves to the kitchen that faces the front of the house. For a split second, the camera passed by the painting she mentioned before, and a chill ran down my spine. She wasn't kidding about it being creepy. From what I could make out in the short time, a dark figure stood against the backdrop of a forest with two piercing blue eyes that seemed to follow as the camera moved. I could tell she was trying to walk by it as quickly as possible. True to her habit, she sets the camera down on the windowsill, angling it to capture my 11-year-old self standing outside. He looks small and vulnerable in the green glow of the night vision. He waves at the camera.
Okay. Action.
Sarah says, her voice steadier now. I watch my younger self perform his scene, running back and forth, looking over his shoulder in mock terror, playing at being chased by imaginary monsters. A sound from deeper in the house. A slow, deliberate creaking, like someone walking across old floorboards down the hall, bled through the camera's microphone. My younger self couldn't hear it at the time, but I leaned forward, desperately hoping to change the past. The camera stays fixed on the window, but I can hear Sarah's breathing change, becoming quick and shallow. The creaking gets louder. Then my younger self stops his performance proudly and moves towards the kitchen window, yelling out just enough for the microphone to pick up.
Ha! How was that? Pretty convincing, right?
No response. Through the static-filled microphone, I can hear Sarah moving away from the window, trying to be quiet.
Sarah?
The camera sits motionless on the windowsill, still fixated on me. I stare at my younger self outside, looking confused and a little annoyed.
Sarah, this isn't funny.
That's when her voice comes through the walkie-talkie, barely a whisper.
Shut the hell up.
A brief moment passes.
There's someone else in here.
The camera doesn't move from its position on the windowsill, but I can hear Sarah's movement through the audio. Careful footsteps, trying to be silent. My younger self outside has gone rigid, finally understanding that something is wrong.
It sounds like they went upstairs. I'm gonna make it for the front door.
Sarah whispers through the walkie-talkie. I can hear her moving through the house, her footsteps barely audible, but the camera stays fixed on the window, showing only my terrified younger self standing outside. The audio picks up everything. Sarah's ragged breathing, the creak of the floorboards, the sound of her trying to navigate around furniture in the dark. That's when I hear her stop.
Oh God.
Sarah breathes, her voice coming through both the walkie-talkie and the camera's audio.
What?
Comes my younger self's voice, barely audible.
The man in the painting is gone.
I can see my younger self through the window, and his face has gone white. He starts to respond, but then the sound comes from somewhere in the house. A heavy thud, like footsteps, but wrong somehow. Too slow, too deliberate. The camera's audio picks it all up while showing only my frozen younger self through the window. The footsteps get closer, and I can hear Sarah's panicked breathing through the microphone. That's when Sarah screams. The camera stays perfectly still on the windowsill, but the audio explodes with sound. Something crashing, Sarah shouting for help. Sounds of a struggle.
Kasey! Kasey, help me!
She screams, her voice raw with terror. The last thing I see before the camera's video cuts to static is my 11-year-old self through the window. He's frozen, staring in horror at the house. Then he turns and runs. He runs and leaves his best friend behind. The video ends. I I sit in my apartment, staring at the black screen, my hands shaking. 17 years later, and I can still hear Sarah screaming my name. I suddenly remember what Sarah had said in her final moments about the man in the painting. How could he have been gone? I begin scrubbing through the video and I paused it directly on the frame where Sarah passed by the painting. It took a moment to realize, but once I saw it, a frozen river carved its way through my veins. It wasn't a painting. It was a window. My phone is in my hand before I even realize I'm reaching for it. I dial my mother's number, the same landline she's had since I was a kid. It's funny how instinctually our minds can recall something, even when they haven't been needed in years. It rings 3 times before she picks up.
Kasey, honey, it's so late. Is everything alright?
Mom. My voice comes out hoarse. The package you sent me. The camera. Where did you find it? There's a long pause on the other end.
What camera, sweetie?
I froze in my chair, unable to respond. Someone knows what really happened that night. And I think they want me to come home.